From Revenge director Colleen Fargate comes The Substance, a body horror film about Elizabeth Sparkle, a celebrity fitness instructor, played by Demi Moore, who is given the sack when she hits 50. Desperate to reclaim her fame, she decides to take the titular drug known as The Substance, which grows a younger version of herself, called Sue, played by Margaret Cayley, who is both linked to her, but also very independent. Right from the get-go, I could tell this film was going to be great. The film owes a lot to other body horror directors like David Cronenberg or Brian Yuzna, with its sensibilities leaning towards Yuzna, but with an added element of New French extremity and Dorian Gray thrown in for good measure. They work with these themes of body dysmorphia, aging, and sexism rather well. The makeup effects also look great in this. I don't want to spoil what they are or how they're employed in the context of the film, but it's a magnificent feat, and I hope the makeup team get their flowers during awards season. The direction of this film is on point as well. Fargate's framing of the human body is creepy and disturbing, with lots of uncomfortable close-ups, and puts the film right up in your face, making it hard not to look away, especially in the body horror sequences. The film is also visually strong, with little dialogue. It carries the film and tells the story in a clear fashion. And on a cinematography front, everything feels paradoxically clean, but also dirty at the same time, with lots of oversaturated dark colours being used to convey a grimy but glamorous feel to them. On the performance side, it's also strong in that department. In a supporting turn, Dennis Quaid is an enjoyable presence as a slimy TV exec who brings a heightened sense of derangement, but it's Demi Moore and Margaret Cayley who are the performers who nail this film. Their performances complement each other, Moore managing to strike a fine balance between playing straight and going for broke, and Quayle doing the more show-offy parts, capturing a useful essence, but having an air of creepiness to it. The Substance is one of my favourite films of the year, and you should definitely check it out. It's wild and over the top, but still a great examination on the themes of fame and self-image. Nihongo o hanasu o shinshousha no minasamu ni kotoba no ayamari ni suite owabi moshiaimasu. Mononoke, not to be confused with the Hayao Miyazaki film, was an anime series that was a spin-off of Ayakashi Samurai Tales. The main premise of the show was about a mysterious medicine seller who gets himself into various supernatural encounters with Mononoke, a type of Ayakashi that linger in the human world. I love the series for its dark and eerie atmosphere, and the beautiful and complimentary animation. But I was excited for the movie, and I can proudly say that Mononoke the movie, Phantom in the Rain, is well worth the wait. This time, the film sees the medicine seller having to deal with the goings-on and an oku. For those of you who don't know your Japanese history and had to do a quick Google halfway through the movie, an oku was an area in the Edo castle where one related to the shogun lived. In the film, there's something serious going on that may or may not have connections to the disappearance of the concubine. Now, if you know the inner workings of an oku, then you know that it didn't allow male adults in, so most of this film is actually focused on two new characters, Asa and Kame, as they deal with the inner workings of the oku. Now, this would seem like a cop-out, not having the medicine seller be the main focus, but I liked it, because some of the best stories from the show mainly had other characters be the main focus and the medicine seller be an observer who was to solve the supernatural issue. Think of the Shashiki Warashari or Nopabera Bo arcs, and you can see how this film goes. Asa and Kami here are compelling, and seeing them deal both with the essential office politics and the supernatural elements works well. Remind me of stuff like Black Narcissus or that Sydney Sweeney nun movie Immaculate that came out earlier this year. As I mentioned those arcs on the show, the film does borrow those arcs' themes and observations about women in society's role. Sure, Asa and Kami are free to fulfill their roles in the oku, but they're still contained within on building and have to make sacrifice to a shogun who we don't see much in the film. It's a fascinating theme that connects the film to the show. The horror elements here are strongly used effectively. The film carries the series' eerie and creepy atmosphere, but with a bit more fast pace than the show. Lots of rapid editing. While it would be a bit disoriented, it still works to keep moving the film forward, but still making it very deliberately odd and unnerving. Now, this is an anime film. How's the animation? It's great. Like a lot of film continuation of shows, the animation looks a bit upgrade. While the animation of the show was great, the film has a more wider scale. Colour palette of the film is a bit more brighter and vibrant, which creates a great contrast to the horror aspect of the film. That also makes it a little bit darker, but there's an unnatural element to it. The film character designs are also good, making it strike a fine line between what you'd call a recognisable anime style with an ukiyo-e painting look. Praise to director Kenji Nakamura, who also directed the anime series, and here brings the full style of the show to the film with a bigger, grander style. Mononoke the movie, Phantom in the Rain, is a vibrantly creepy film. The film brings the show's iconic style and animation back and goes all in with a grander scope that a film would allow, but a TV show would not. Even though there are some elements I kind of feel like are left hanging, probably because this is the first part of a film trilogy, so that obviously will be followed up in two sequels. You can watch the film if you want a fan because it's a standalone film, and the show as well. Both are currently streaming on Netflix at the time of recording, and I full-heartedly recommend you watch it. Happy New Year when you're watching this, because I wrote and made this episode well in advance, and also it may not be New Year's when you watch this, considering how much lists I made. Anyway, 2024 was admittedly pretty mixed in general, but as we enter a new year, it's good to look forward, mostly to the films, because yeesh, and 2025 seems to have a pretty interesting slate ahead of us, so let's get into it. Honourable mentions. So a little house clean. This section is for films I'm interested in seeing, but either didn't make it into the final 10, or I just found more interesting, but I don't know if it's getting a release this year, especially if it might be released at a festival where it sometimes takes years for it to be seen by the general public. So here are the honourable mentions. Queens of the Dead. On the surface, this might seem like another comedic zombie film, but what piqued my interest for this film is who's directing it. Tina Romero, daughter of George A. Romero, so yeah, it's cool to see if this might be like her father's, or that, most likely, judging by the title and the comedic setup, strike out in her own. It's got an interesting cast as well, so yeah, I hope to see if this gets released this year. And now, onto the 10 films I'm excited for this year. Number 9, 28 Years Later. 28 Days Later, to me, is several things. One of the best modern zombie movies, one of the best British movies, and one of the best British horror films, and that's a good lineup to be a part of. So now we're getting another sequel with original director Danny Boyle, original writer Alex Garland, and original star Cillian Murphy, back with actors like Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Ray Fiennes, and what seems to be the start of a new trilogy. And judging by the trailer, looks really good. I might be infected with rage virus because I'm not walking to see this film. Number 5, Frankenstein and The Bride. Shown a number 5 spot because my list, my rules, and because they're very similar, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein and Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Both are adaptations of the Mary Shelley novel. One is by a director who's an obvious match for the source material, judging by his appreciation of the genre and how it shows in his films, and the other seems like an interesting take. It's a musical with a good cast behind it. It's feeding my Frankenstein itch. And those were my anticipated films of 2025. Are there any other films you're excited for this year? Please comment below and also like and subscribe. Well, it's the end of the year, and despite everything else, the movies were good. It was a year about the horrors of pregnancy, clowns, films about TV, prequels, unconventional music biopics, and multi-part films. So here's a list of my favourite films of the year. Now, before we get into this list, I know that I'm going to get asked in the comments section about why I left out certain films on this list. Well, certain Oscar movies, The Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, etc., don't get released in the UK until January, so that's why they're not on the list. I haven't seen the film that you might mention, because I mostly do this channel more as a hobby, that I can probably monetize if I can reach a certain number of subscribers. Please subscribe. So I'm not a professional film critic in that sense, so I don't often watch as many films as most professional film critics do, and I just didn't get to see certain films. Juror number 2, didn't see it. Queer, didn't see it. I saw the TV Glow. Regrettably, I didn't get to see it. Why is this 2023 film here? Certain films and questions would have had a festival run in the year before, but have been given a general release this year, which is fair game. I watched it, liked it. I didn't put it on the list because I saw something I thought was better, but don't worry, that's why we have honourable mentions. A Quiet Place, Day 1. This prequel managed to pack a lot of heart in an alien invasion story, showing that in dire circumstances there's still something to fight for. Rita. A dark fantasy that is sometimes harrowing but still helpful in some spots. Not an easy watch but still good. Stop motion. Horror and animation combine to make an interesting and unique film that doesn't break new ground in certain regards, but the stop motion animation makes it something worthy to seek out. With those out of the way, in alphabetical order, it's time for my favourite films of 2024. In a Violent Nature. Inverting the slasher movie archetype has been done before in films like the remake of Maniac for Elijah Wood or Behind the Mask, but what In a Violent Nature does is take a more slower, atmospheric approach to it, often feeling like slow cinema, and while I can tell what horror movie franchise it's riffing on, the film stands on its own as a damn good slasher with some great kills. Long Legs. Osgood Perkins' horror thriller is a creepy and dark film. His direction is great, getting a lot of use of wide and close-up shots and making the film feel uncomfortable, aided by a good Nicolas Cage performance, which I've heard other people seem to have plays with, but I thought it added to the creepiness. Michael Monroe also gives a good performance here as well, telling a lot through looks and reactions. Long Legs is a creepy film, a good one, but yeah, it's creepy. The First Omen. One of 2024's biggest trends was films about pregnancy. We had comedies about pregnancy like Babes, but the majority were horror films like The Rosemary's Babies prequel, Apartment 7A, Alien Romulus, Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, and my pick, the Omen prequel, The First Omen. Yeah, don't know why there's a bunch of movies about the horrors of your body being used to further someone else's ends. Anyway, First Omen has no right to be as good as a prequel to The Omen could be, but director Akasha Stevenson makes some creepy and disturbing imagery that sticks with you, and now Tiger 3 also gives it her all in this film as well. It feels like a satanic call the midwife episode, but it's a damn fine horror film. The Substance. Another film I already reviewed, but in short, The Substance is a creepy and timely film that can be a good treat to you on age, the media industry, and what it does to being a woman, and also a great body horror film that emulates the works of Cronenberg and Brian Usna, but stands out on its own. Demi Moore gives a good performance here, along with Mark Qualley, who had a good year herself, being in the Underage Driver Ray Dolls and the Yorgos Lanthimos Kind of Kindness. The Substance is a great horror movie and one of the best of the year. That's why it deserves a place on this list. So those were my favourite films of the year. What were yours? Please comment below and like and share.
So we're halfway through the year, and I thought, why not do a midpoint best films of the year list? Mostly to show what I've enjoyed throughout the year so far, inform you, the audience, of films you might have missed during the year, and give you time to catch up on them if you missed them. My rules are still the same as the best of 2024 list, must have been released to an audience in 2025. Films that had a festival release count. Films that had a run in theatres the year before getting released in the UK do not count. Anyway, let's start this list with Number 6. Sinners. Lots of things have been said by people who are smarter than me about this movie, and probably have better recording equipment than me as well. But it's still true. Ryan Coogler's Sinners is both a great vampire movie and a loving piece on the communal power of music. Michael B. Jordan does a good double performance, and Jack O'Connell is having a lot of fun as the main villain. Number 7, The Monkey. I liked the latest Final Destination just fine, but I found this latest Stephen King adaptation by Oz Perkins just slightly more than that film. Not saying it's bad though, it's actually pretty good as well. Here, Perkins trades in the slow burning and disquieting horror of his previous film, Longlegs, for a straight-up black comedy, and it's effective. The film goes straight into a gleeful and over-the-topness with the deaths, and they're funny, making it feel like it would have been a great fit for a creepshow movie if the film was a bit shorter. With the recent drought of theatrical comedy films, I found The Monkey one of the best comedies I've seen so far this year. Number 10, 825 Forest Road. This film sees Hell House LLC director Stephen Cognetti step away from his found footage franchise that concludes this year with a completely different horror film. Shot like a regular film, but it's still a creepy and scary film nonetheless. The film is told in a Rashomon style, with each act being told from a different perspective, and he manages to craft some excellent and creepy scenes from this setup. I'm excited to see what he does next, especially as his next Hell House film seems to be doing away with found footage style as well. So these are my favourite films of the year so far. Will this change at the end of the year? Maybe, maybe not. Will I be reusing clips of these in my end-of-year video this year to save time? Probably. But I might have other things to say about these films down the line, so who knows? Now, what's the best film of the year you've seen so far? Please comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, do you like movies? Do you like movie reviews? Then this channel has stuff like that. There's Watch This Space, my film review show where I view recent films, and I also make short films, like Correspondence, which is very unique. If you'd like to see stuff like this, then please subscribe to stay updated on my work. I also follow my social media channels as well, so please subscribe to my channel.
Warning, the following video discusses spoilers about Season 2 of The Last of Us and elements of the game that has not been adapted for TV yet. Please watch this at your own discretion. So, The Last of Us Season 2 has come and gone, and the reactions to it have been interesting compared to the game it's adapted from. When The Last of Us 2 came out, it was a divisive game, to say the least, mostly owing to certain story elements. Here the discussion for the TV show seems to be on how the TV show adapted the game, mostly changing some elements to make it work as a TV show. Lots of people have decried these changes, and I understand where they're coming from, but I am okay with how they changed things. Well, yes, there are some moments I wish were in the game, like the scene in the synagogue, and I do think Abby telling Joel her motivations take away from the mystery that was in the game, along with showing who the WLF and Scars are early, but I can see why certain elements were changed. Video game adaptations, especially movies and TV shows, were for a long time seen as not good, often being in poor quality. Sometimes you can get a Mortal Kombat 1995 or something made by Uwe Boll. I feel like the reason why video games are hard to adapt is because of one thing that TV shows and movies don't have: interactivity. Video games are an interactive medium. You control a character and you can make them do what you want to do. You can make choices that affect the story, you can fight enemies, you can choose who you can fall in love with, and you can explore the world. You can't do that in a film or an episode of TV where you're just watching something. When reviewing the 2005 adaptation of Doom, Roger Ebert once said, "This movie has been inspired by the famous video game. No, I haven't played it, and I never will, but I know how it feels not to play it, because I've seen the movie. Doom is like some kid came over and is using your computer and won't let you play." Interactivity is something inherent to video games, and without that factor it takes away from the experience and makes it feel derivative in adaptation. What would make a Last of Us TV show different from something like The Walking Dead? If you take out all the scavenging and the gameplay sections, if you're not controlling the characters on screen. Luckily, when it came to adapting the first video game into a TV show, they did some interesting creative decisions to circumvent the lack of interactivity. The Last of Us is a more story-driven game, which can easily fit into the mode of television. The game's chapters and levels have beginning, middles, and endings which you can make into TV episodes, and you can even adapt and change it. The Bill and Frank episode is a complete 180 from the game, turning another level which you have to try and escape the infected into a more personal character piece, putting focus away from Joel and Ellie, and creates a breather after the action of the last episode. In an interview with Tech Radar, Neil Druckmann talked about this process of adaptation of Craig Mazin when it came to episode 3. That's what would have been an important thing in the past when you're adapting video games and looking at superficial aspects and thinking, oh, players want to see that gameplay moment. That's not what they want. They want the core of the heart of this experience. The Last of Us Season 1 adds more scenes and more characters to flesh out the world, taking away the moments where you as a player would explore the world. In the show we have scenes in the past, we have scenes outside of America, and we have new characters, so you can see them follow this mentality when it came to adapting Part 2. We get more scenes with other characters, we see Jackson fending off a horde while Abby works on a golf swing, and we have new characters and get more flashbacks into other characters like Isaac. But do they work? Kinda. Compared to Season 1, Season 2 is adapting half of the game, so you can see moments that clearly are set up for when they deal with Abby's side of the story, especially the scenes with Ellie training in episode 1. Don't think that will come into play later, or what Joe said to Eugene when they did the porch scene earlier than expected. With how they structured the season, it does leave things hanging in some regards. One aspect I did love was how it had to circumvent the lack of gameplay. Last of Us Part 2 is a sprawling game than the first, lots of exploration and traversal, and lots of killing. Lots and lots of killing in the name of revenge, ending with Ellie's killing of Noah, a pregnant woman being a dark combination of a quest for revenge. The show being a TV show with a set time limit for an episode, there isn't a lot of time spent on the killing, so the show changed that aspect and by mixing up certain elements, mainly having Ellie and Dinah go out to Seattle before Tommy, and in spite of their community's decision not to do so, and have Dinah get involved with the action after revealing she's pregnant, but until she's injured and taken out of action, Jesse and Tommy have to chase after them because of this. And then when you get to Ellie's murder of Nora, the dark of the soul moment for Ellie is the realization that she dragged a lot of people into this, nearly got her girlfriend killed more than once, and they could have gotten killed as well. This change is effective and manages to contain the same manner of impact the game did. Still shocking and managed to capture the core of the game's story, and you can tell that this is obviously going to have a bit more impactful when they do get round to adapting the Abbey parts in Season 3. But ultimately, the second season does feel incomplete, and there are some moments I do wish we did get to see adapted. It will be interesting to see how they adapt the Abbey scenes to TV, what characters will get expanded upon, and how will it play out as a whole. Nihongo o hanasu, shichou-sa no minasama kotoba o mashigete shimeta koto o rabi moshi agamashu. Mononoke, good TV show, very spooky. It's about a medicine seller who deals with some spooky stuff. Last year they did a movie where he investigates goings on at Anoku, aka the harem of the Shogun. I reviewed the previous movie, and I'm going to show you my previous review here quickly. And if you want to watch that in slow motion, check out here, but also other videos I have on my channel. Please subscribe to get more like it. Anyway, in Mononoke the movie, Chapter 2, Ashes of Rage, the medicine seller is back at the Oku again to deal with some spooky stuff, but this time the focus is on the upper chambers where the higher class of concubine vie for the attention of the shogun, where things get testy as one lady, the lower in social class Fuku, is pregnant, and this has caused much distress in the court, and might be related to a possibly unrelated, but obviously not, fiery death of another concubine, which the medicine seller has to solve. I like this film. While its runtime is a bit shorter, so it doesn't have the slow burn of Phantom in the Rain, nor does it have the rising creepiness as well, I don't mind it, as the film makes up for it in other ways. We get more insight of the inner workings of the Oku, mainly in the upper class areas. Secondary characters who showed up in the previous film get more bigger roles, like Sachiko the guard or Lady Boltan. Then again, Asa, the main character from the first film, shows up briefly, which is kind of odd considering that she was kind of the main character in the last one, and I was kind of thinking she'd be like the main through-line character, but surprisingly not, which is a shame because I liked her character in the last one. The Shogun is also briefly seen, but he's still not that big of a presence. It's clear when all three films will be released that they're going to play well together, and that's where you can also see little story beats set up and will be played off, especially in regards to how things are set up in each film. This film also carries the previous film's themes of what women give up to work in a patriarchal society. The last film was about identity, with most of the concubines throwing away personal belongings to start working at the Oku. This one is about bodily autonomy, so that's fun. If the first film felt like it was expanding on the themes of the Nopapa Boa arc, this one taps into the themes of the Zashiki Roroshari arc, but unlike that one, it doesn't feel muddled. If you've seen the show, you understand what I'm talking about, because I've not given up a lot of details here, because they might give the film's game away. Here we see most of the Shogun's counselors in the film, whose daughters are all concubines, and we see them trying to jostle for power, using their own daughters as pawns in the game. And helping us nail that theme down is that most of the scenes that all seem playing a game of shogi, subtle. In my last film, I compared the theme to Immaculate, the Snowy Nun movie, but that comparison is more appropriate here, along with last year's First Omens, as they also deal with bodily autonomy and how the patriarchy seeks to control women. There seems to be a bigger theme across these films emerging, like permission. The medicine seller isn't allowed into the Oku unless he has permission and still uses the pass he earned from the last film, and certain characters are asked to do things if they consent to it, but often that is given under duress. It's a small thing, but I sense it will become a bit clearer when the third film comes out next year. On the animation side, it's as good as previous film. Still has the psychedelic ukiyo air look, and the titular Mononoke this time around looks cool and makes a good companion to the previous film's one. Also, the editing in this movie is a bit less hyperactive than the last film, but editor Shigeru Nishiyama does some interesting tricks, like how he uses jump cuts to make her close up on Lady Boltan, or how it cuts to a different character to correct juxtaposition who is often in the same place. Mononoke the movie, Ashes of Rage, is a good and consistent follow-up to Phantom in the Rain, tackling some interesting themes and painting a clear through line between these films with good animation to boot. I'm excited for the final part that comes out next year. This film, along with its previous entry and the TV show it's based on, are all available on Netflix at the time of recording. And thus, it's the end of the summer, and now it's time to take stock and look back at what we did during it. I mainly watched films, so here's a list of some of my favourite films of the summer season. Now, lists like this are kind of a bit superfluous as studios spread out their tentpoles throughout the year. Big hits like a Minecraft movie and Sinners came out in April, a month before the summer movie started. But I'm keeping this list restricted to films that came out from May to August, and yes, that will include streamed movies in this list as well. Also, it was kind of hard to find what film qualifies as a blockbuster, and there are two films I liked, but I was confused on if they belong on this list, and that's why we have honourable mentions. Now, with those two out the way, let's get to the main event. Final Destinations, Bloodlines. I haven't seen a Final Destination movie before, but I do know the formula and the premise. See also Osgood Perkins' excellent The Monkey. But I had a lot of fun with this film, managing to have fun with the premise and crafting some excellent Rube Goldberg deaths. But it doesn't let the fun underscore the dire stakes of this film, as it is a family being killed. Add in an excellent swan song for the dearly missed Tony Todd, and you've got yourself an excellent horror film. Predator, Killer of Killers. I feel this is what stream movies should do more of, especially if they're spin-offs of big franchises. This animated spin-off of the Predator movies feels like a direct-to-video movie from 2007 that you mostly watch via clips on YouTube, but this film boasts 3 great little stories set in different time periods that are all strong in their own. And then the Predator shows up and flips the script on them. The film manages to focus on certain aspects of the Predators, and matching it to a different period of human history is an inspired choice. The animation is good as well, which has a painterly look to it. This film is streaming on Hulu in America and on Disney Plus overseas. 28 years later, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland go back to an infected England and taps into a plethora of themes, ranging from social aggression, masculinity, colonialism, to make a great horror film. Boyle and Garland also play around with the fact that the zombies in this film aren't the undead ones that we know, and give probably one of the most poignant moments in a horror film this year. I'm excited to see what Nia DaCosta does with the sequel in January. So those were my favourite films of the summer. Agree? Disagree? Please leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get more videos like this and other stuff I'm making. Like what you see here? Then please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get more Watch This Space, but also other things such as my short films. Please remember to like and subscribe to the videos you just watched. And also, please check out The Orange Bin, my blog, where I have write-ups of my episodes here, which with links to sources that I mention on the show. Also contains some of my old blog posts if you want to see what else I used to do back in the olden days. So please remember to check out my blog and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.